The rain of burning metal fell from the night sky. Cities in ruins, the air thick with smoke and fear. No one knew why the aliens came, but tonight, the war would change forever. Before we dive in, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more epic HFY stories. Now let's begin. The rain of burning metal fell from the night sky. Explosions shook the mountains, and the air smelled of smoke and fear. On the distant horizon, the dark shapes of alien warships floated above. The ruined cities, their glowing engines cutting through the heavy clouds. No one knew how it had started. Some said the aliens had come for resources. Others whispered they had come for something far more dangerous, something alive. Captain Ryan Cole didn't care for the reason anymore. He had been fighting for 2 weeks straight, without real sleep, leading his squad through the blackened ruins of what was once their home. His armor was scratched, his pulse rifle almost out of power, and his voice rough from shouting orders through gunfire. Tonight was different. The alien attacks had stopped suddenly, leaving behind an eerie silence. Even the drones that hunted them day and night were gone. It felt wrong, like the calm before something worse. "Captain, you need to see this," whispered Sergeant Vance through the comms. Ryan turned and followed him through a broken temple wall, stepping over cracked marble and shattered pillars. The place smelled faintly of dust and something sweet, almost like flowers. In the center of the temple, bathed in pale blue light from above, stood a figure. A woman, no, not human. She was tall and slender, her long silver-white hair flowing down like liquid light. Her skin was pale with a faint shimmer, and her eyes glowed like deep ocean water. She wore a crown made of crystal and metal, and a robe so fine it seemed woven from moonlight itself. Ryan froze. He had seen many alien soldiers, drones, and war beasts, but never anyone like her. The woman turned slowly, her gaze locking on him. When she spoke, her voice was soft, but carried across the temple like music. "You," she whispered, almost in disbelief, "you are the human." Ryan didn't move his rifle, but something about her tone made him hesitate. "What do you want?" he asked, his voice steady. She stepped closer, her bare feet silent on the stone. "I am Princess Alara of the Varelian Crown. You do not know me." "But I know you," Ryan frowned. He was sure this was some kind of trick. "You know me? How?" Alara stopped just a few feet away. Up close, Ryan could see strange markings on her skin, like glowing silver threads under the surface. Her eyes held something he didn't expect. Not hatred, not arrogance, but something like fear. "Because," she said slowly, "I chose you." Ryan's grip tightened on his rifle. "What are you talking about?" She took a breath, as if speaking the next words would change everything. "In my world, when a war cannot be stopped, there's only one path to peace, a binding between bloodlines. I have chosen you to be my bridegroom." For a moment, Ryan thought he misheard. The war outside, the death, the chaos, and now this alien princess was talking about marriage? "This is insane," he said. "Your people are killing mine." "You think I'm just going to—" "You must," she interrupted, her voice sharper now. "If you refuse, my father will burn this planet to ash. I came here against his orders, because I believe you are the only one who can stop him." Ryan's heart pounded. The silence in the temple felt heavier now, broken only by the distant rumble of thunder. He looked into her glowing eyes. She was telling the truth, or she was the best liar he had ever met. Vance's voice crackled in his earpiece. "Captain, enemy reinforcements incoming. We've got less than 2 minutes before they hit our position." Ryan's mind raced. He could try to fight his way out, or he could take a risk that might save everyone. Alara stepped even closer, her hand brushing against his armored chest. Her touch was strangely warm, almost human. "Choose quickly, human," she whispered. For once they arrive, neither of us will have a choice. Outside, the sound of engines and marching soldiers grew louder. Inside, Ryan stared at the alien princess who had just offered him the strangest bargain of his life. And in that moment, he realized the war had just changed. The moment Ryan stepped out of the ruined temple, the air was alive with danger. The wind carried the deep hum of alien hovercraft engines, and the night sky flickered with the glow of their searchlights. Princess Alara walked beside him, calm and graceful, as if she didn't hear the thunder of war around them. Vance raised his rifle. "Captain, what is this?" "She's one of them." Ryan kept his voice low. "She says she can stop the war." Vance gave him a look that said he thought. Ryan had lost his mind. "She also says she picked me to marry her," Ryan added flatly. Vance blinked. "You're joking." "I wish I was." They moved quickly through the ruins, the princess gliding like her feet barely touched the ground. Her glowing eyes scanned the shadows as if she could see things the soldiers couldn't. Several times she stopped, raising her hand, and moments later they heard alien patrols pass just meters away without noticing them. Ryan began to wonder, was she protecting them? Or guiding them deeper into enemy territory? When they finally ducked into the half-collapsed metro tunnel for cover, Ryan turned to her. "Talk now, why me? Out of every human on this planet, why pick a soldier in a war zone?" Ilara's gaze didn't waver. "Because you are not afraid of dying. My people respect that. My father respects that. If I bring you to him as my chosen, he will see a reason to end the bloodshed." Ryan shook his head. "Or he'll kill me on the spot." Alara stepped closer. "Then I will stand between you and his blade." The silence in the tunnel was thick. Even Vance, usually quick to speak, stayed quiet, watching her like she was a strange animal that might bite or save them at any moment. Suddenly the tunnel trembled. From deeper in the darkness, a low metallic roar echoed, followed by heavy, deliberate footsteps. The sound was wrong, too slow for soldiers, too loud for patrol drones. Ilara's expression hardened. "It's a warden," Ryan frowned. "What's a warden?" Before she could answer, a massive figure stepped into the light of their helmets. It was 3 meters tall, clad in dark armor shaped like jagged bone, with 4 glowing red eyes and claws that scraped sparks off the tunnel walls. Its voice was a grinding hiss. The runaway princess and the human she chose. Vance swore under his breath. The creature's eyes locked on Ryan. "Orders are to bring you both in. Alive, if possible. Dead if not." Alara moved in front of Ryan, her hands glowing with faint blue light. "I will not return with you," she said coldly. The warden tilted its head. "Then I will kill your human here and now." Ryan's instincts took over. He shoved Alara aside, raised his rifle, and fired. The blast hit the warden's chest, but it barely staggered. In one swipe, its claw tore the rifle in half like paper. Alara's voice cut through the chaos. "Ryan, take my hand." It wasn't the time for trust games, but he didn't see another choice. He grabbed her hand, and in an instant, the tunnel around them blurred, colors twisting like liquid light. The roar of the warden faded into silence. When the world snapped back into focus, Ryan found himself standing in a vast glowing chamber. Silver spires curved upward like the ribs of some giant beast, and a pale blue river of light flowed through the air above them. Ryan stared, catching his breath. "Where are we?" Alara looked at him with a faint smile. "In my world," she said softly. "And this is where your choice begins." The chamber was nothing like Ryan had ever seen. It wasn't made of stone, metal, or anything he could name. It shimmered like liquid glass, yet felt solid under his boots. Above, rivers of blue light curled and twisted in the air, feeding into enormous crystal structures that pulsed like living hearts. Alara walked ahead, her long robe whispering against the floor. Her posture was straight, almost regal, but Ryan could see the tension in the way her hands curled into fists. 2 armored guards stepped into their path, their faces hidden behind helms shaped like snarling beasts. Their weapons looked grown, not built, blades of crystal wrapped in living tendrils that pulsed faintly. One guard spoke in a language Ryan didn't understand. Alara replied sharply, her voice like a blade in the air. The guards hesitated, then stepped aside. Ryan kept his voice low. "What did you say to them?" "I told them you are under my protection," she said without looking back, "and that anyone who touches you will answer to me." They passed through a set of massive doors that opened without a sound. Beyond them, the throne room spread out like the inside of a cathedral built for giants. Pillars lined with glowing veins of light stretched up into darkness, and in the center, on a raised dais, sat a figure who radiated power. The king. His armor was darker than night, carved with symbols that seemed to move when Ryan tried to focus on them. A crown of jagged crystal thorns sat upon his brow, and his eyes burned with the same blue fire as Ilara's, but colder, sharper. Ryan could feel the weight of that gaze as it fell on him. "So," the king's voice rolled across the room like distant thunder, "this is the human you have chosen." Alara stepped forward, kneeling. "Yes, father, he is the one." Ryan's instincts screamed at him to do something, speak, kneel, salute, but he stayed standing, his hands loose at his sides. If this was some kind of test, he wasn't going to fail it by looking weak. The king studied him for a long moment. "You know what this choice means, human?" Ryan's voice was steady. "She says it will stop the war." The king's mouth curved in something that was almost a smile. "It could, or it could doom your world faster than any army." A murmur ran through the alien courtiers gathered along the walls. Ilara's gaze flicked toward them, then back to her father. "The council will not like it, but the law is clear. My choice stands." The king's smile faded. "The council has already called for your removal from the royal line." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Ryan felt the shift. This wasn't just a marriage proposal. This was a rebellion, and Alara had just burned her bridges in front of everyone. The king rose from his throne, every movement deliberate and heavy with authority. He stopped just in front of Ryan, so close Ryan could see faint cracks in the crystal of his crown. "If you wish to stand beside my daughter, human, then you must survive the trial of ascension. Fail, and your death will be slow." Ryan didn't blink. "And if I win?" The king's eyes narrowed. "Then the Varelian throne will welcome you, and the war will end." Ryan didn't answer right away. He looked at Alara, and in that brief glance, he saw the truth. She wasn't just gambling with his life. She was gambling with both their worlds, and for the first time, Ryan wondered if he had just stepped into a game he didn't understand. The arena was nothing like Ryan expected. It wasn't a battlefield, it was a living thing. The floor beneath his boots pulsed faintly, warm like flesh, and the walls curved upward into a dome of crystal and bone. Strange vines crept along, the surface glowing with faint green light, their tips twitching like they could sense him. Alara stood on a high platform above, her hands gripping the railing. Even from here, Ryan could see the worry in her eyes. The king sat in a shadowed throne, flanked by alien nobles whose faces were unreadable masks. A deep voice boomed through the chamber. "Human, the trial of ascension begins now. Survive, and you will earn your place. Fail, and your bones will become part of the arena." Ryan's hand tightened on the alien weapon they had given him, a short blade that hummed faintly, vibrating in his grip. He didn't like it. It felt alive. The floor shifted beneath him. Circular sections began to sink, revealing pits of molten light. Bridges of narrow stone formed in twisting paths, forcing him to move or be swallowed by the heat below. From the far side of the arena, a gate opened with a hiss. The first challenger emerged, a creature twice his size, armored in plates of Black chitin with 4 arms ending in hooked claws. Its eyes glowed blood red as it let out a low growl. Rayan moved fast, dodging the first swipe. The bridge shook under the monster's weight, forcing him to keep his balance while defending himself. He ducked low, sliding under a claw strike, and slashed at the back of its knee. The blade bit deep, and the creature let out a pained roar. Stumbling forward into one of the molten pits, the crowd roared, some in approval, others in anger. Ilara's voice echoed in his earpiece. "Well done, but it's not over." Another gate opened. This time, 3 enemies stepped out, smaller, faster, with long whip-like tails crackling with electric sparks. Rayan fought hard, his blade singing with every strike, but something felt wrong. These weren't random challenges. They were meant to wear him down. Then he saw it. One of the nobles leaned toward the king, whispering. Moments later, a hidden panel in the arena wall slid open, and from it crawled something. That made Ryan's blood run cold. It was the warden. The same massive armored beast that had nearly killed him in the metro tunnel. Its claws scraped sparks off the stone as it stepped into the light. Its red eyes locked on him. Ilara shouted from above. "That's not part of the trial. Father, stop this." The king didn't move. His expression was unreadable. Whether this was a test or an execution, Ryan couldn't tell. The warden moved fast, faster than its size should allow. It swung its claw, shattering part of the bridge and forcing Ryan to leap to another section. The heat below seared his skin even from a distance. He was out of breath, his weapon nicked and battered. But the warden wasn't stopping. And then, Ryan noticed something. The arena wasn't just alive, it was reacting to him. The glowing vines pulsed brighter when he stepped near them, curling toward his weapon. An idea formed. When the warden charged again, Ryan sidestepped, slashing one of the glowing vines instead of his enemy. The vine recoiled, spraying a stream of molten green fluid onto the warden's leg. The beast screamed, stumbling, and Ryan didn't waste the moment. He lunged forward, driving his blade into its neck. The warden collapsed, its armor cracking. The crowd went silent. Ryan stood there, chest heaving, staring up at the king. No words were spoken, but Ryan knew. This wasn't the end. This was only the opening move in a much larger game. Above, Ilara's knuckles were white against the railing. When her eyes met his, they weren't filled with victory. They were filled with warning. The arena gates closed with a slow, grinding hiss. Ryan's breathing was still heavy, his heart pounding from the fight. But he didn't look at the molten pits or the broken bridges behind him. His eyes stayed locked on the king, the alien ruler. Rose from his throne, the movement carrying the weight of judgment. "You have survived the trial," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "But survival is not the same as victory." The nobles whispered among themselves, their jeweled robes rustling like restless snakes. Ryan couldn't understand their words, but he could feel the tone. Some were impressed, others furious. Guards approached from both sides, their weapons lowered but ready. Ryan braced himself, unsure if they were coming to honor him or drag him away. Ilara stepped down from her platform, her robe sweeping across the glowing floor. She stood between Ryan and the guards, lifting her chin defiantly. "The law is clear," she said. "The trial was passed. He is under my protection." The king's eyes narrowed, but he gave a single nod. The guards stepped back. Ryan exhaled slowly, but the relief didn't last. As they walked out of the arena, Ilara leaned close to him. "Do not eat or drink anything offered to you tonight," she whispered. He glanced at her, puzzled. "Why?" Her voice dropped lower. "Because the court would rather see you dead than see me proven right." They entered a long hallway lined with alien statues, warriors carved in poses of triumph and grief, their eyes set with dim crystals. Ryan caught movement at the edge of his vision. A shadow broke away from one of the statues and slipped into an alcove ahead. He slowed his steps, letting Alara move forward a few paces. When he reached the alcove, a figure emerged from the shadows, not a guard, not a noble. It was a young alien man in plain clothes, his eyes darting nervously. "You don't know me," the stranger said quickly, "but I serve someone who wants you alive. If you trust Alara, you must leave with her before the moon's next rise." Ryan studied him carefully. "Who sent you?" The man hesitated, then said, "Her mother." Before Ryan could ask more, a sharp crack echoed through the hall, a sound he knew too well. Gunfire. The man stiffened, a thin line of blue blood spreading across his chest. He fell without another word. Guards shouted from behind, running toward the scene. Ilara's eyes widened when she saw the body. "We have to go, now." They slipped into a side corridor, the shouts of the guards fading behind them. The passage narrowed, leading to a chamber lit by faint, flickering light. At its center stood a massive table carved from black crystal, covered in maps and glowing symbols. Alara ran her fingers across the surface, activating a series of shifting hologram star charts, fleet movements, coded signals. Ryan recognized some of them. They weren't just battle plans. They were maps of Earth's defenses. His voice was cold. "You've had these all along." Alara looked at him, her expression unreadable. "My father has. I stole them." Ryan stepped closer. "Why?" "If you have these, you could help end this war right now." Her voice was quiet. "Because the war is not what it seems. My father doesn't want your planet for resources or power. He wants something buried beneath it, something only a human can awaken." Ryan's gut tightened. "And you think that human is me?" Alara didn't answer. She only held his gaze. And in that silence, Ryan realized she wasn't just saving him for peace. She was saving him for something far more dangerous. The chamber shook, a deep, rolling vibration that rattled the black crystal table and sent dust drifting from the ceiling. Somewhere far above, the sound of alarms blared through the palace. Ilara's eyes darted toward the doorway. "He knows. We're here." Ryan tightened his grip on the alien blade still strapped to his back. "Your father?" She nodded. "And he will not let you leave now, not with what you know." Before Ryan could answer, the doors burst open and the king strode in, his crown casting sharp shards of light across the chamber. Guards fanned out around him, weapons drawn. The blue fire in his eyes was colder than ever. "I gave you a chance to prove yourself," the king said, his voice cutting through the air like steel. "And you have, but not in the way you think. You survived the trial, yes. But you've also shown me that you are exactly the human I feared you would be. Dangerous." Ryan stood his ground. "Then tell me what you really want from Earth." The king's gaze darkened. "Beneath your world's northern ice lies an ancient vault, a relic of the old makers. It can rewrite the stars themselves. But it will only open to one whose blood carries the spark of defiance." Ilara's voice was sharp. "And you believe that's him?" The king didn't look at her. "I know it is. Which is why he will come with me, or die here." The guards began to close in, their weapons humming with deadly energy. Ryan's mind raced. Fighting was suicide, but surrender meant handing over something no one should control. Then Alara stepped between him and her father. "Touch him," she said quietly, "and I will destroy the vault myself." The king's voice dropped to a growl. "You wouldn't dare." She met his eyes without flinching. "I would. Because I have seen what the old makers left behind, and I will not let you turn it into a weapon." For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then the king lunged not at Ryan, but at Alara. Ryan reacted without thinking, intercepting him with the alien blade. The strike rang out like thunder as steel met crystal. The king was stronger, forcing Ryan back step by step, until Alara moved in behind her father, pressing her palm against the glowing sigil on his armor. There was a flash of blue light, and the king staggered, his power breaking for a moment. Ryan didn't kill him. He simply stepped past, took Alara's hand, and ran. They burst out onto a balcony high above the city. Below them, alien ships moved like predators through the sky, but none fired. Alara raised a crystal pendant to her lips, speaking in her own language. A moment later, a small, sleek craft broke from the clouds, rising to meet them. As they boarded, Ryan turned to her. "What happens now?" Alara looked back toward the palace, where her father still stood watching from the balcony, his face unreadable. "Now," she said, "we make sure the vault stays buried. And if we succeed, there will be no throne for me to return to." Ryan studied her for a moment. "Then why choose me?" "From the very beginning?" Her answer was soft but sure. "Because human. You are the only one I could trust to defy me if I was wrong." The ship's engines roared, carrying them up into the dark sky. Far below, the city lights shimmered like fallen stars. The war wasn't over, but for the first time, Ryan felt the tide had shifted. Not because of armies, not because of treaties, but because one alien princess had chosen him, and together, they had chosen something greater than victory. They had chosen to change the fate of two worlds.